Hi guys, and welcome to this Nexus Mod Manager tutorial. Now, I made this video at the request of Dark One, the owner of the Nexus site, and it's aimed primarily at new users, people who are fairly new to modding their game and perhaps have very little experience with mod managers. So what is the Nexus Mod Manager and why should you use it? Well, the Nexus Mod Manager is a piece of software that basically makes modding your game a lot easier. It downloads mods for you, it installs them, it should help you update them and generally manage your mods. And it makes your life easier by keeping track of every single file it installs for every single mod. Now, the more mods you have, the more important this becomes. If you're installing only a few mods or small mods and you never really uninstall them, this mod manager may not be all that useful. But if you are like most people, you're going to install a few mods, uninstall one or two of them, install some more, etc. It becomes problematic to keep track of every file that you have installed so that when it comes time to remove that mod or replace it with a different mod, you clean up correctly. Without a mod manager, you run far more risk of basically breaking your game. Obviously, you have to spend a little time installing the mod manager and you have to spend a little time learning how to use it. And initially that seems like it's complicating things, but it isn't. Once you get used to the tool, which you will do so very, very quickly, you'll be able to set up mods for use with the mod manager very quickly, if not as quickly as just manually copying them. And you will start noticing massive savings in time later on. And this will give you the confidence to basically install as many mods as you feel like trying, secure in the knowledge that if you don't like them, you can remove them very quickly, very easily, and above all, safely, without causing any problems to your game. So let's get started, and of course the first thing we need to do is download the Nexus Mod Manager. Nexus Mod Manager can actually be found on the Nexus website. So for example, if you go to Skyrim Nexus, there should be a button at the top saying Mod Manager. And if you click that button, you come to the Mod Manager page. As you can see, it's in open beta. Now, I don't think there is very much documentation as I'm making this video, but I do know documentation is on its way. So hopefully by the time you're watching this, the documentation will be available. But whatever documentation is here, I really do suggest you read it. It's great to watch a video, but videos tend to go out of date a lot faster than the documentation. The documentation will be updated, hopefully, as new features come out. So really, I cannot stress enough, you should always read the manual, always read the instructions of anything you install. So please, make some effort on this. It's definitely worth it in the long run. So then just simply hit the download button and download the installer program to wherever it is you want. And once it's downloaded, it's a simple matter of double-clicking the installer program, following the instructions. Place it wherever you want. I suggest you leave all of these as they are. I like the desktop icon, and you definitely want these files associated with it. And install. Now, I'm not going to launch it straight away. I'm going to move it to my badly organized desktop before anyone tells me. I know, it's a mess. To run Nexus Mod Manager once it's installed, I simply double click. Now it then asks me which game I want to play. Now at the moment I think Skyrim is probably the most popular game on the Nexus site, so I'll start with Skyrim. Now you can also tell it not to ask if you wish, so it always goes to whichever game you've picked. If you're only playing one game, don't worry if you click don't ask next time. You can change the games from within the Nexus Mod Manager once it's running. Now it's asking for the directories to find my mods. I generally suggest you keep these as suggested. However, if you've already installed a previous version of the Nexus Mod Manager and you place them somewhere else, you may need to find them. But I'm going to leave them there for now. And then you need to type in your username and password. Now the reason you're logging in with your password and username obviously is because this program links directly to the Nexus Mod site and will download all of these mods for you. So obviously it needs to log in on that website to be able to do that. And that's it. There you've got Nexus Mod Manager now up and running. And as you can see, the first tab that's open is the Plugins tab. Now you will notice straight away I've got a lot of plugins. This is because I actually have a lot of mods already installed. If you are installing, if you've not done any modding whatsoever, you will probably only have the Skyrim and the Update ESM. So these are the plugins. Don't worry too much about these for now. And then if you go to the Mods tab, you can see I have no mods installed using the Nexus Mod Manager. It's completely empty at this stage. And that's it. The Mod Manager is now actually installed. Now, if you want to use Nexus Mod Manager for your Fallout games, I can literally just click this button here and it gives me the option to change games. And pick, say, Fallout New Vegas. It then asks me where my mods are installed. Now, if you've never installed any mods for Fallout New Vegas, just leave the default ones. Now, I've been using Fallout Mod Manager, as you can see here. Now, Fallout Mod Manager will quite happily work with the Nexus Mod Manager as long as I don't try to manage my Fallout mods with it. But that is exactly what I'm going to do now. And I'll show you what happens. Now my mods were installed under D, Games, FOMM, Fallout New Vegas, Mods, and the install info directory was right next to it. So that's D, Games, FOMM, Fallout New Vegas, install info. If I now click Finish, it takes a few seconds. Probably more than a few seconds actually, because I've got quite a few mods installed for Fallout New Vegas. And what it's doing now is it is basically converting all my Fallout Mod Manager mod setups to the Nexus Mod Manager standard. Now this allows the Nexus Mod Manager to manage those mods, but it will in fact break the Fallout Mod Manager. And I will show you that in a second. Now, whilst this is installing, you may get this message. The installed version is 0, the new version is, and then blank. Would you like to upgrade? I would basically suggest, whilst doing this, clicking no for now. I would do any upgrading you want to do very, very specifically. I would pick them yourself once you see the list. So just keep clicking no until it finishes. And there you go. You can now see the list of plugins I've got for Fallout New Vegas, and if I go to mods, you can now see it's imported all the mods I was using with the Fallout Mod Manager. There you go, and I'm now able to do all of my mod management for Fallout New Vegas using this program. Now, if you wish to manage Fallout 3 the same way, it's the exact same process. Once again, Fallout 3. And if you've not installed the Fallout Mod Manager, you can literally click Finish now. If you do have the Fallout Mod Manager installed, just pick the directories where the mod and install info are, exactly as you did for the Fallout New Vegas game. Now, if you were using the Fallout Mod Manager previously and you've now converted those mods to the Nexus Mod Manager, you can now uninstall the Fallout Mod Manager. Just go along to Fallout Mod Manager and hit the uninstall Fallout Mod Manager. It's pretty simple. That's the recommended procedure. You will be modding all your games from this one tool from now on. Now, for those of you who are using Oblivion and the Oblivion Mod Manager, unfortunately the Oblivion Mod Manager and Nexus Mod Manager are not compatible. So what that means is you need to uninstall all of your Oblivion mods, then uninstall the Oblivion Mod Manager and start again from scratch. So that's not brilliant, but I'm afraid that is essential. But once you've done that, again, change into Oblivion, very simple. Simply select Oblivion in the drop-down menu in the game selection. Now, some people have been reluctant to install the Nexus Mod Manager because they like Fallout Mod Manager. They prefer it. And I can sort of understand their reasoning. Fallout Mod Manager has some nice tools. BSA browser, test snip, built in. They're very, very nice indeed. And some people just prefer the Fallout Mod Manager's layout. And if you're one of those people who has refused to install Nexus Mod Manager because you want Fallout Mod Manager, don't worry, you can install the Nexus Mod Manager to manage your games such as Skyrim and Oblivion and continue to use the Fallout Mod Manager. The only thing you need to do is never open the Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3 with the Nexus Mod Manager. If you do, it will break Fallout Mod Manager, as I will show you now. If I now run Fallout Mod Manager, I get this error. I have basically broken Fallout Mod Manager. However, if for some reason you change your mind, if you do this by accident, if you switch to Fallout New Vegas by accident and you didn't want to do it because you wanted to continue using Fallout Mod Manager, don't panic. You can actually fix it so that is possible. So, the first thing to do is change the game back to Skyrim or something other than Fallout New Vegas. You want to get off Fallout New Vegas. And then you need to find your install info for Fallout Mod Manager. Now for me, this is in my D drive, Games, Fallout Mod Manager. Here we go, install info. And you need to find the install log.xml and delete it. And once it's deleted, you need to look at these .back files, the .back, .back1, .back2, etc. Go to the first one, the most recent one. If you order by date modified, you can see this one here is the most recently edited. So I'm going to rename that by removing the .back. So I've now got a new install log XML, and I'm going to try this. Nope, still not working. Delete that file. Take the next one, rename this. Try that one. Now it may take some time to open. Once you click it, it can take 30 or 40 seconds the first time if you've done this, but if it doesn't crash after, it's probably just working a little bit. But as you can see, Fallout Mod Manager is now working again. So you can recover if you accidentally open for the Fallout mods using Nexus Mod Manager and you didn't mean to. So we've installed Nexus Mod Manager and we're going to install our first mod. Now I'm sticking with Skyrim and I've decided to pick a fairly simple mod called Dragonborn Song with Lute. The mod itself replaces the female bard singing The Dragonborn Comes with a much better version by a YouTube user, and it's very good. I really enjoy it, so we're going to install that. Now there are a couple of ways of installing this and I'm going to show you both of them. In the file section you'll see a main file. there may well be updates, optional extras, and in this case we've got an old version, but we want the main file. Most mods will have a main file, at least one. And you can see there are two options, download with Manager and download manually. I'm going to download manually first of all. This is the hard way. I'm going to show you the hard way to install mods. And it's not hard at all, it's pretty easy. So you just download this file anywhere. I'm going to download it to my desktop so that you can see what I'm doing. And once it's downloaded, now you'll see this one's a zip file. Some of them are RAR files, some of them are 7Z files. They're all archive programs. If you don't know what a RAR file or a 7Z file is, they're basically compressed archives, very similar to zip files. But you usually need to have a program like WinRAR, or there are several archive programs out there to uncompress them. If you wish to open them, you probably won't need to. You probably will not need to. But I'm just going to show you what's inside this one. If I open it up, there is an ESP file and a folder called sound. It's a very simple mod. So I'm going to leave it in its zip file and I'm going to open up the Nexus Mod Manager. I then go to my Mods tab, and up here is a button, Add Mod from File. I click this, I simply go to my desktop, and it's, there we go, almost synced. Click Open, and it's added. The mod has now been added to my Mod Manager. It has not been installed. It has not been installed. To install it, I need to click this button, which activates. It now activates the mod. What that's actually done is it's copied the ESP file and the sound folder to the correct directory. If I go to my plugins, you'll notice at the bottom, Dragonborn with Loot has been added and checked. It's checked. This means it's actually loaded into the game. And the Mod Manager's done that for me. If I click this button, deactivate, it uninstalls the mod. It's uninstalled the ESP and the sound folder with the music. If I go to the plugins again, you'll notice it has disappeared. And it's that simple. Now I'm going to delete this. That was the manual installation. And you could see how easy that was. Well, it's even easier if you pick the Download with Manager option. If you click this button, it skips the stage where you download it to your drive. As you see, this is now flashing. It's added it. It's now downloading. Once it's downloaded, it's finished. Once again, I activate exactly as I did before and the mod is installed, and it's that simple. And you can actually click multiple mods and they will all appear in the Download Manager, and as they finish downloading they will appear in your mods list. It's very, very simple indeed. Now, not all mods are simple installers that you simply click the activation button and it's done. Some of them are scripted installers, so when you press the activation button you get a sort of pop-up menu and they'll often give you extra options, etc. before you finally click the install. These are usually mods where the installation process has multiple options, maybe multiple files are going to get installed, and the mod author has made this basically to make your life a little easier when installing. Now there are a number of such mods. Immersive HUD is one, Deadly Dragons, etc. And there will be more and more that come out like this. Don't worry about them. They're actually very, very useful indeed. They do nothing more than install certain files depending on the choices you make. Now, unfortunately, not all mods can be installed with the Nexus Mod Manager. Probably 99.99% of them can, but every now and again there is one that cannot. An example of such is the FXAA post-process injector. Another example is the Skyrim Enhanced Shaders mod. Now, the problem with these mods is they do not install files to the data folder. They install them straight to the game folder. Don't worry about that right now. But the important thing is they cannot be installed with Nexus Mod Manager. Fortunately, both mod authors realized this and they actually removed the Download with Manager button. For those mods, you will have to download the file manually and then follow the mod author's instructions on how to install them. Generally speaking, if the mod author has removed the Download with Manager button, you should assume you cannot install it with the Nexus Mod Manager. That is their way of telling you, do not use Nexus Mod Manager to install this mod. Now, unfortunately, not all mods are quite that simple to install. Some mods are a little bit more complicated. They have a few more options. Now, at the time of making this video, one such mod is the Realistic Lighting with Customization mod. So I'm going to use that because it's a great mod and it's nice to see how you should install it. It does come with the Download with Manager button and you can use that to install this, but it will only install the default values. Now that might work for you and that's great, in which case this mod is fine using Download with Manager. But there are some options and this mod doesn't use a scripted installer, so those options don't get installed automatically. So I'm going to download manually the file for now. We're going to have a look at it. Now, once the file has downloaded, I'm going to, here it is, Realistic Lighting, I'm going to extract it here. So there I have the files extracted as a folder. I'm going to delete this for now, don't need it anymore. So we'll open up this folder and you can see inside here there is a folder called Optional Files. Now if you install this mod using the Download with Manager button, that folder will get copied to the data folder as it is and then completely ignored by the system. And you might want some of those options. So I'm going to show you how to set this up with the options. So if I go into the optional files, you'll see there are some more ESPs and you can figure out what those ESPs do if you want, but I don't want any of them. I like the default, but I want these optional textures. So I'll just quickly show you what's in here. The landscape textures give some duller snow. Because the mod increases the brightness, snow can often be blinding, so it's got some optional textures to make snow a little duller. And it's also got a nice sun glare effect in the sky folder. You don't need to worry too much about it, except these textures, for them to work, cannot be here. What I need to do is cut them and move them up to here. Now when I install this mod, the textures folder will be installed and it will be installed correctly. The rest of the optional files I don't particularly want, so I'm going to delete them. And I now have the folder structure set up exactly as it needs to be. I close this, I then add to archive, create it as however you want to do it. I'll leave it as a zip, and I've now got a zipped version of this folder. I can delete the folder. Now I'm going to rename this to Realistic Lighting with Dull Snow, and you'll see why in a minute. I'll open up my Nexus Mod Manager. Go along to my Mods tab, click the Add Mod from File, and pick the Realistic Lighting with Dull Snow mod. And there it is. I can then activate it. As you can see, it's overwriting the snow texture, which is a good indication that we've built it correctly. and I click yes to all, and my mod has been activated. And basically now if I actually go to my Skyrim data folder, not only do I have the realistic lighting ESP, but under textures, landscape, I have a lot of snow textures. These are the ones that were added. And that's it. It's a little more complicated. It does require a little bit more knowledge about how mods work. But it's a good idea to do things this way, because if I decide to uninstall this mod at a later date, it will remember which options I chose and will remove the files I added correctly. It saves me the problem of having files left over from previous mods causing trouble. Now, one of the major strengths of the Nexus Mod Manager and mod managers in general is the ability to manage your mods. And that means install them, uninstall them, tweak them, etc. very quickly and very, very easily. As you can see, I've got quite a lot of mods downloaded, but only the ones with a tick are actually installed, which means I've got loads of them downloaded, loads of them ready to install, but not all of them installed. Now, for example, let's say I just want to install the Deadly Dragons mod. I can just install it very quickly, very easily. Install the extra texture pack that goes with it. And it's done in a matter of seconds. And I can try this mod out. And if I like it, keep it. If I don't, remove it. So removing it is very, very simple. Simply hit the deactivate button. And this allows me to do a lot of different things. So for example, if I've got a mod that retextures the elven armor, I'm using slightly more grey version here, I can deactivate that and activate a different one that does, say, retextures it in black. And I can try this out very, very easily. You'll also notice it's telling me I'm overwriting a file from another mod. I'll get back to that, but that is very useful. If I now go into the game, all my elven armor will be retextured black. It's that simple. I go in, I can play with it for a few hours, and if I change my mind and want to go back, I simply deactivate that mod and activate the one I originally had. So as you can see, what I'm doing here is installing and uninstalling mods in a second. And I don't have to think about it. I don't have to remember which mods are installed where. I can do it very, very quickly and change my mod setup depending on what my playthrough is or depending on what screenshot I want, etc. I've got total control. And I've been doing this for years with mod managers, and I've never once had to reinstall my game, even though I install and uninstall mods anywhere from 5 times a day to 50 times a day. I do a lot of installation and I never ever break my game. So you noticed the fact that it registered I was overwriting a previous mod. Let me deactivate that again. If I activate the Elven Armor Retextured Slightly More Grey mod, one of the things it tells me is one of the textures was installed by a different mod. This is a different mod that retextures both glass and elven armor, and it gives me the choice to carry on, yes to all, or just this one file, etc. Generally speaking, I always recommend the yes to all. If you're going to install mods, it's best to install them in a good order. I'll cover that in a different video. But for now, I'm going to do yes to all. So I've now overwritten the files from another mod. Now ordinarily, if you do that by yourself and then change your mind and remove those textures, you've lost the textures from the original mod and you have to go and install the original mod. And you have to know that you've done this, be aware of it and remember it. Whereas with the Nexus Mod Manager, you don't. I now deactivate this mod, and without it even telling me, what it's done is it's taken the textures that it replaced and it's put them back in. So it's repaired the deletion of the other mod's files. And that is incredibly useful. The more you start modding your game, the more you will rely on this kind of feature for the Nexus Mod Manager. Now, one other thing you might notice are these little exclamation marks next to the latest version. And these are to tell you that the mod you are using is out of date. So the quality wheel map with roads, I'm using version 7. There is a version 8. Now if I click the version 8, it takes me to the web page for that mod. I can now download the very latest version. That is an installer. Let's have a look. Yep, download with manager. This is a single file installer. And it starts downloading. Once it's downloaded, it will add it to the list. There you go, quality wheel map. Now I'm going to deactivate this one first, and then activate 8.0. And as you can see, he's actually added a nice scripted installer for this one, which is very nice. I want high-res map with all roads. I want the clear map add-on, because I quite like that. And install. It also has a preview option, very nice. And that's it. That mod is updated. I can now delete the old version. And as you can see, I've got quite a few. The bucklers mod has been updated and so on. So this allows you at a glance to see which of your mods need updating, which of them have got new additions, etc. And as you can also see, generally speaking, you get a lot of information in this page. It depends on the mod author, how much information you get, but in general, it can be very, very useful. Now, one thing you should be aware of is that generally the version applies to the main file only. So for example, if you see I'm using Lush Trees 1.2, which is version 1.2, I'm also using a compatibility patch, which is 1.0. Now, it's telling me this is out of date. But in actual fact, if I go along to the website, I will see that the compatibility patch is still at version 1, and it's still an optional file. It's not been put into the old file section. Basically, this means this patch has not changed since version 1.0 and does not need to change. Unfortunately, Nexus Mod Manager doesn't realize this and is telling me I need to update this one. So when you are updating mods, be careful. Have a look at them, and generally these numbers should only be applied to the main file. So it's still important that you read all the documentation, read the front page of the mod, check out the README if it has one, look for the installation instructions, and looking at the files, if they've got descriptions, read those too. They'll give you a hint as to which files you're going to need. And so we come to the end of this video. Now obviously there's still a lot to learn. And if you have questions, if you have problems, be sure to go along to the mod authors pages and put those questions to them. Do it politely, do it in a constructive way, and you are sure to get a positive response. And lastly, let me just say, whilst you're there, whilst you're on the pages, endorse the mods. The mod authors don't get anything from this. They don't get money. They only get satisfaction from knowing that people like and use their mods. So if you endorse it, it's a way of saying thank you very much, and it just makes them feel better, and it encourages them to keep modding. And be sure to check out my YouTube channel. That would be Gophers Vids. It has a lot of videos telling you how to mod games like Fallout New Vegas and Skyrim. It has a couple of video series showing you different mods, which ones you should install, and how to install them and how to avoid potential problems. You're more than welcome to check that out. But whatever you do, I wish you luck in your modding endeavours, and I hope you enjoy the modding experience as much as I did. You guys have fun.